It has been a very quiet day from everybody who covers locally the Pittsburgh Steelers. It has been a very, very loud day from ESPN talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why? Because Adam Schefter dropped this little nugget about good old Russell Wilson. Quote, Pittsburgh has expressed an interest in bringing him back. And I think we start there because they've got first dibs on the guy, but it has to make sense for both sides. And if there's a deal there that works for both of them, then they go ahead and do it. If not, then we start to flush out the options. I'm about to do something that I don't think I've ever done before, and that is refute the biggest name in NFL sports journalism. That is what I'm about to do right now. I think Adam Schefter is wrong. I think that this is not as accurate as it may appear. And just like Russ saying we've had early conversations, I think Adam Schefter might be getting a little bit of nuggets or two, a little nugget or two from Russ's team saying there's been interest expressed. What is that interest? I don't know. It could be a little bit. It could be, yeah, we're interested. Why wouldn't they tell them they're interested? Why wouldn't the Pittsburgh Steelers sit there and say, we have had thoughts of bringing you back? We have had those thoughts. Yes, we are interested in the possibility of you returning to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is something that we are interested in. Why wouldn't they? They would be wild. And without being too mean on the situation, it would be wild for them to sit there and go, you know what? We think we're better off without you. We're going to go and we're going to try to get Justin Fields first. That's what we're going to try to do. Could you imagine if that's the situation that a team put Russell Wilson and Justin? No, you lose all of your leverage. The Steelers understand that. This is a negotiation. This is a business. Yeah, the Steelers want one of their two quarterbacks, but they're not willing to pay a boatload of money for one of them. They're trying to negotiate this and figure this out so that financially it works on their side as much as it works on Russell Wilson's and Justin Fields. And to be very honest, the Steelers are going to try to work it out so that it works way better on their side than the other. You're not going to tell Russ no. But is Omar Khan sitting there saying, yeah, we're interested in bringing him back to Adam Schefter? I don't know. I have a hard time saying yes. I have a hard time believing the Pittsburgh Steelers is where this report came from, and it's not Russell Wilson's team. And maybe I'm totally wrong, but this kind of feels like the Russ we've started talking conversation and less like the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's their guy. Russell Wilson's their guy. Why? Because you haven't heard a word from anybody else. Nobody. You haven't even heard a word from Kaboli, who has been the Russell Wilson fanboy since day one. And that is how you know, I don't know, man. Feels like there should be more noise here. Feels like there should be somebody somewhere saying the Pittsburgh Steelers are interested in Russell Wilson because we're not hearing it. You know, kind of feels like a nugget that got dropped on a show or on an appearance. I don't remember where this is from. And came from conversations he's had most likely with Russell Wilson's team. Again, if I'm totally wrong here, Adam Schefter's the GOAT, man. He's the best. He's the greatest to ever do it. He is the Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, whatever you want to call him, Tiger Woods of sports NFL journalism. This time, I think he got his information from one side that is clearly campaigning to stay with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that side is Russell Wilson. Maybe I'm wrong, and you tended to calm me down when I am, so I'll give you the floor here.
Yeah, I think the fact that we've only heard this twice, as far as them being overeager to have Russ be their guy, and both times are coming from one source.
I was going to say, the last time Schefter did this before, didn't he? Didn't Schefter say before the season even ended that the Steelers were bringing back Russell Wilson? I'm pretty positive he said on the
Not only that, but Russ going on to the Pat McAfee show. They're both coming from ESPN. And every other outlet is reporting, I wouldn't say the opposite, but reporting that it is not even close to being a decision made, but it feels like they're leaning towards Justin. So the fact that the only one, even though they're the worldwide leader, the only one reporting that, hey, they're going to try to work something out with Russell Wilson, that's going to be their first go at it, is Adam Schefter, and then Russell Wilson saying that he is starting contract negotiations on ESPN. It does feel like it's coming from one side, and particularly not the side that has the biggest sway in this conversation. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. Again, if Schefter has it, that means somebody of influence told him, but that somebody of influence might not have been on the Steelers side of things. And that's where I think the confusion kind of comes in, because every other piece that we've heard, every other piece of information that has been rumored has been to the contrary of what we're hearing now from Schefter.
Yes. And my other side of this is where is this from? This is from he said it on
Missouri.
Get Up. All right.
Yeah.
So Get Up's a bigger one. I hear that. I definitely hear that. I feel like if it's, and this is wild to say, but I feel like if it hasn't been presented in a tweet or in a story, that Schefter, that this is just a nugget, this isn't true. This isn't reporting. You're not confident in this enough to say, I'm putting this out there. I'm going to leave the bread trail or the breadcrumb trail. This is, I was asked a question and I said something, if we get a story here, there's a significant difference between me sitting here talking to you and letting you guys know what's going on, and me writing a story with the word sources at the start of it, because that's okay, this is real. Kind of feels like it's just a nugget that got dropped, and exactly what you said. What side of the coin did Schefter get it from? Kind of feels like he's getting it from the Russell Wilson side, which is probably big and expansive and has a lot of people. And we could be totally wrong, but I just find it so hard to believe. So hard to believe. Go ahead.
If he got the same information from the other side of the coin, I think there'd be a byline ahead of anything he said.
Exactly. At that point, you are writing the story. If you're Schefter, you're tweeting it out. Here's my other thing here. Is it makes a lot, and again, this could be totally wrong, but it just seems to maybe. There's no chance Russ doesn't want, to some degree, an opportunity in Vegas. I'm not saying that's his top choice. I'm just saying, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers are talking Justin Fields and Russell Wilson and his team fully understand it's the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Las Vegas Raiders. Situation's got to be, this is a business. This is not Ben Roethlisberger retiring or becoming a free agent after 16, 17 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You've been here for 6 months. You don't have that. I don't care how many times you've gone to the Children's Hospital and how big of an impact you've made on this community. Shout out Russell Wilson. The dude is phenomenal. Blessing of a human being. You're not gung-ho on the Pittsburgh Steelers enough to say this is not a business. This is personal. No, it's a business. And Russ's people have to be smart enough. Russ's agent has to be smart enough to understand that if the Pittsburgh Steelers look like they're interested, the Raiders are more interested. And the Raiders are going to offer bigger money. And the Raiders are going to do this. And the Raiders are going to do that. That's how this happens. That's how this works. If the Raiders start thinking they don't have a shot, Russ's market goes up. And again, why not? Why not make that phone call? Why not shoot that text message over? The fact that you're not writing it means that there's not enough there. It's not strong enough. That's how I look at it. So
yeah. Funny enough, and this is just an aside, because when you were sitting there thinking and talking about, from Russ's side, when you're looking at the Raiders versus the Steelers, the one thing I will say is Russ wants to play, and he said several times this year, I want to play till I'm 40. I mean, whether or not that's actually how long he ends up playing, that's a different discussion. There's obviously different factors. But if I'm Russ's team, I would look at it and say, which team is more likely to tank and be in a position to replace or to draft your replacement? Probably Vegas. Like, Steelers are more likely to not be able to draft your replacement because the Steelers have not been in position to draft a starting quarterback in 20 years. They pushed to do it in a year that they shouldn't have with Kenny Pickett, but outside of that, they have not been in position to draft a replacement quarterback one for whoever's the incumbent. So again, if you're sitting there and you're Russ's team, you're saying, well, where are you least likely to get replaced? It's probably Pittsburgh, because Vegas, as we've seen, has been trying to replace quarterbacks year over year over year for the past half decade.
That part I agree with you. That part I agree with you, which is probably why the conversation, and maybe why the conversation went, yeah, they've expressed interest, but Russ, his first choice is the Steelers. That's why they get first
That
dibs.
he can sign there first.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I do. I mean, I'm interested to know where it came from. Nothing's changed in my head. This is still Russell Wilson is number 2 to Justin Fields, but there's no guarantee Justin Fields wants to come back. And that's what we're waiting on. Justin Fields is on top of some mountain somewhere, enjoying life. If you've been keeping up with his Instagram stories, and I'm sure he's got no care in the world, because that's the best part. Justin Fields gets to come back down from that mountain and be like, dude, there's got to be 4 teams that want me, including the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, I'm gonna be a starting quarterback somewhere. It's no big deal. Like, I'm chilling. It's the end of January. It's warm where I am. Meanwhile, Omar Khan's down in Mobile, Alabama, thinking I got to come back, fire coaches, and figure out my quarterback situation. Gotta be stressful times.